Hey, welcome back to Newsmax. Now, it looks like there could be more trouble ahead for Navy SEAL Eddie Gallagher. President Trump last week restored Gallagher's rank back to Chief Petty Officer, but he could still be removed from the Navy SEALs. Gallagher was accused of committing war crimes while deployed in Iraq back in 2017. This past July, a military jury acquitted him of murdering a captured ISIS fighter, but the jury convicted him of illegally posing with the detainee's corpse. That led to his rank being reduced. Now, if Gallagher is removed from the SEALs, he would either have to retire or find a different position in the Navy. And joining us now to talk about this is former Navy SEAL and author Carl Higbie. Also with us tonight, former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, who was right with Eddie Gallagher and his family throughout the entire military trial process. Great to see you gentlemen both. Bernie, first to you. Had President Trump not stepped in here, do you think Rear Admiral Green, who's in charge of the Navy SEALs here, would be going through with this Trident review process to perhaps strip Eddie Gallagher from his Trident and the Navy SEALs?
Well, I don't think so. I think this is retaliation because the president got involved and restored his rank. This admiral has been pursuing Gallagher from the beginning, knowing that the charges were trumped up. He knew that the prosecutors illegally wiretapped or surveilled the defense team's emails. He knew that the NCIS and prosecutors extorted false testimony from various witnesses. They pursued this case knowing that someone else actually killed the terrorist. And at the end, there was a victory for Eddie Gallagher in court. And as a result, this admiral has been going against him every step of the way, right up until this point, and it's nothing but retaliation. And I will say, it's an absolute slap in the face to the president of the United States, who restored his rank just Friday, Friday. If he was going to pull his Trident, he should have done it 2 months ago on the day he was convicted of taking the photo with the terrorist.
Right, and that's why I asked you that question. And Carl, you've also been very intimately involved in this case here. What do you think is the admiral's motivation, really, for doing this?
Was the president not clear? Back down. Get off this case. It's over. There's for people who don't know, there's three types of ways that people can punish you in the military, your chain of command, and two of which require zero evidence whatsoever. There's captain's mast, or non-judicial punishment, where they can just hand out reduction in rank and fees and fines and things like that. There's administrative, which is exactly what they're trying to do right now, which is complete BS. And Admiral Green, I've done a lot of research on you, and I've talked to a lot of people about you, even some of your peers, high-ranking peers. They don't like you. You are a stain on the community for doing this. President Trump is going to deal with this, and if it's the last thing I do, I will make sure that this lands on his desk and you are dealt with.
Let's talk about the other story involving a man in uniform, and that's Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. It's standard practice for military officers to testify on Capitol Hill wearing their uniforms, but Vindman's uniform became a sort of flashpoint yesterday. Some Republicans said he wore his uniform to try and look more authoritative and credible. Now, it may be strange for civilians to see someone in uniform being criticized like this, but Carl, you had no problem taking on Vindman, and tell us why.
Yeah, I think Vindman is a turd. And I'm sorry to be so blunt with it, because this guy uses, first off, you tell a ranking member of the committee to address you by your rank. No, check that stuff at the door. This is something that, could you imagine, just imagine for a sec, that General Flynn sat there at a process like this saying, oh, excuse me, it's General Flynn. Or could you imagine if he testified under oath that he was offered defense minister of a foreign country while serving on active duty military? Do you think there would be any respect? The media would crucify him, but it's crickets, because this guy is trying to take down Trump, Vindman that is, and there's nobody out there in the media really who's holding him accountable except for a few outlets. And I'm sick and tired of this. You can criticize people when they wear a uniform. Thank you for your service. His story is remarkable. He came here for the right reasons, and he loved this country. But he is an unfortunate product of a bureaucracy where the U.S. military has become the DMV with nuclear submarines because they are so entrenched in their own ways of process. They are only interested in forcing an outcome. And it's really unfortunate because you corrupted this man. The military corrupted this man, and he sat there on Capitol Hill. He did no service to his country and certainly didn't do any service to his fellow service members.
Bernie, what's your take on this?
Or he didn't do any service. He really did a disservice to the president of the United States, who he actually worked for. And I'll take Carl's statements, take it one step further. This whole thing about the Ukraine offering him the job of Minister of Defense for the Ukraine, why isn't there an investigation? How could that be? This guy's a uniformed officer in the United States military, and he was offered a job by the Ukrainian government as Minister of Defense. He should be under investigation. He should be suspended from duty until they figure out what the hell that was all about. I think it's absurd.
The other thing, too, about this, I thought Devin Nunes handled himself very well. He did refer to him as Lieutenant Colonel. But, Carl, as you always pointed out to me, Bernie, you know this, too, this is the way our republic works, that the military is accountable to Congress. And that's why that was such a big deal yesterday, right? Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. It's just like a lot of officers get a bad rap sometimes for being a little pompous about stuff. And not all. There's many, many, many great officers out there. But there are some that ruin it for pretty much everybody. This guy, Vindman, you ruined it for a lot of people.
Yeah, and to your point, Bernie, about the president, we have civilian control of our military. That's what makes this a constitutional republic, one of the things that makes it a constitutional republic. And Vindman seemed to forget that yesterday on the stand.
Well, not only did he forget it, I think members of Congress forget it, members of the military forget it. The President of the United States, in being Commander-in-Chief, is the ultimate convening authority over the military. Vindman works directly for him. And he basically he went against everything the president stands for.
Go ahead, Carl.
Yeah, no, he forgot that. I mean, he literally forgot. And everybody's forgetting this. In the Gallagher case, in this case, you work for the president. He literally said on the stand that he institutes foreign policy. No, the president comes up with foreign policy, and you're supposed to do what he says. You're not supposed to originate it. You can give him all the talking points you want, but when he says something, it is his way or the highway. That is exactly how the military chain of command works within the law. Get used to it or get lost.
All right, Commissioner Kerik, great to see you as always. Carl's going to stick around with us for a little longer. Coming up, Prince Andrew stepping down from his public duties following his BBC interview about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Plus, actor Jussie Smollett, he's now suing the city of Chicago. We'll have those stories and more. The catch-up is next.